In the previous grouping video, I demonstrated how you can insert keywords followed by values in the file names themselves. And that's because the particular example that I had was one object that I took pictures of across many nights. And I had not somehow divided those into their individual, say, individual folders for each night. But that is another way you can organize things. And the cool thing is, as far as grouping is concerned, you can group by a keyword that's found in folder names. I just showed only file names so far, but folder names can possibly be even more powerful. So that's what I'd like to demonstrate now. This can be used if you take pictures of something that you want to have grouped, but you need them to be separated according to these values. Could be by night, or what I'm going to demonstrate is something a little more interesting. It's going to be by year. Because I took data, this is often something that happens. You take data of something long ago, and then you take some more data of it, and then you want to maybe combine them. And so that's what I'd like to demonstrate. It'll be two different periods of time. But the interesting thing is that I did use the same camera. So the data would otherwise, because there's no file naming here that's going to distinguish them, there's no automatic keywords and values in the file names. So the only thing that's going to distinguish all of these jumble of files are the names that I associate with the folders. So let me show you. I have, in 2011, I took a picture of this, it's a crazy galaxy, NGC 3310, really crazy galaxy. And inside of here, I have, and you can see there's, at the time I was doing this, I didn't even have the automation like I have today with ACP and so on. So I didn't have all the fancy naming, file naming stuff going on. These literally just are the name of the file followed by, an index and then something else that I put here to indicate what kind of image it is. Apparently these are the luminance images. And I also took, it looks like red, green, and blue data in 2011 as well. Now, later, 6 years later in 2017, I again worked on the same galaxy. Now I believe I ended up only taking, probably because of weather, luminance data, and I guess I would just associate it with the color data that I already have, although I don't believe I've completely assembled this, so I haven't decided. Maybe in another some odd years I'll get more color data on it. But let's say I wanted to combine these two data sets. Now I have luminance that overlap between the 2 years, but color from only the past year, and all of that stuff. So can I use WBPP to put it all together in a very nice way? And the answer is yes, and it's just absolutely amazing. So what I want to first do is demonstrate that we're going to specify a keyword. And the keyword is going to be the object, because in both cases the object name is the same. The only thing that should distinguish them after that keyword is the year that I took them, perhaps. So I'm going to change the directory names, and that's the thing that's going to do the work for me. So these will be NGC 3310, and then I'm just going to put year 2017 here. And what this means is that anything that is underneath within this directory is going to be labeled with this value in the path, because it's when WBPP does this magic of looking for keywords, not only does it look in file names, but it looks in the path name as well. So every single file here that's underneath of this directory is going to be associated with a value, if it had this keyword, with this value of Y2017. So all files that I open up here will have that value associated with it. Now let's go to 2011, and what I'm going to do with that directory is, let's see, where is it here? Again, I'm going to rename it NGC 3310 underscore Y 2011. That's it. That really does the majority of the work, as you'll see in a moment. However, there's a little bit more, and let me show you why. Because I'm showing you this from information that, I'm doing this from scratch. One of the things I don't have in this directory doesn't look like, it looks like I have some flat masters, but what I don't have are the darks and the biases for this data. So I might want those as well. And so what I would like to do then is, in order for me to associate those darks with, and those biases or whatever, with this time, with this year, again, I need to put them inside of this directory. And the easiest thing for me to do is if I look somewhere here, I probably have, because I save everything, I have some calibration data. Now it looks like these are masters, which is fine, as long as I put them inside of, so I just do a copy here. And I'm just going to put it inside of this directory that I made. They will be associated with this value, so it won't confuse the same kind of masters that I might have from the other year, from 2017, because it'll be in the path for this directory. So let's go back to 2017 and see what I need to do there. I'm switching between the years here, just setting them up. So in 2017, I can see I have calibration data here. I say calibration data here. Let's see. I bet you in here I have probably what are masters, but what I'm going to do is copy, these are the, here, let me just show you. These are the raw data. I want to show you that I can mix raw with the flats that are in the other year, because they'll be separated by the virtue of the value of that year that we're associating it with. So I'm going to copy here, and then we will paste it into here, and I'll have raw darks and biases in here, which is just kind of cool. And I can see in this directory I also have some flat masters here. And there's one little twist. You'll notice that in 2017 I have flat masters for the luminance, but they're all the same. They're all clear filters here. That's what FFC means. They're all the same, because that's all I have in here are these clear filter images. That's all that's in 2017. So these just refer to flats that were taken on different nights in 2017. So how am I going to match this with this if I'm already matching? Well, I can just add another keyword. The keyword here would be date. And so I'll show you that in a moment. So we're going to do a nested keyword thing, which is really, really just so powerful. But I think I've set everything up so that now, if I go into the script, we can just load all the information. I could do, obviously, I can do two different, sessions of calibrating one set of data from one year and calibrating another, but this will allow me to do it all in one go, which is just really cool. So let's see, we will go to the 2017 data. I have these master flats, and I'm going to use the masters. So I'm not going to use the raw flats here. I'll just use the masters that I have in hand. You'll notice that in my file names, I have date, that's that keyword, followed by the value for the whatever the date was. Now, I didn't actually check if they matched. Hopefully I got that right. Who knows? Okay, so I have my flat masters, and I have all of the raw light frames. I will load in just a moment the dark frames, but let me just load these. There's the lights. Those are all cleared, but they're not separated by date, which we also need to do. The flats. So right now there's a collision because they all look the same, these flat masters. They're all clear. But again, because we're not breaking them up by that date, we'll need to do that. Why don't I just do that now? I mean, that's not too bad. So if I do this and add it, then we get them broken up, which is great. And these are now broken up. So now these data will match flats that are over here. That's the matching we needed. We're not yet doing the year thing. I need to add that. So let me go ahead and load the, let's see, we have lights, flats. Oh, we need the darks, right? Yeah, we need the darks. Let's load the darks and biases. So this will be the raw data. There it is. No matching keywords. Well, that's correct. We're going to make them in a moment. Biases, correct. Why don't we make a matching keyword right now? MGC 3310. So this is going to be the other keyword. This should now associate these. What? I didn't mean that. I need to hit the add button. There we go. This should now associate this keyword, those here, with this year. Perfect. So now we can do the other year. This is just amazing. So the other year's information is here. I believe I can do all of these. Not those, that's a different object. Here we go. So these are luminance, which are clear. These are color data. I have a flat master here. I have two of them. I don't know why, so I'm going to remove that one. So I have those flat masters, and I have the original darks and biases in here. So I'll load those in just a moment. So this should load light frames. Let's see. Here they are. 2011 light frames. Those are the luminances that would have otherwise collided with the other clears up above, but they don't now. Oh, they may not have because of the time, but they don't collide at all. And then we have this data here, but definitely the darks and things would collide. So let me just load those. Those are here, and these are masters. Very likely I was doing these minus 35s there. So there's my masters there. And here's the cool thing. Notice that without designating 2011, this bias master would collide with these raw ones there. It would just use this bias to calibrate both years worth. If I remove this, you can see that. See, now there's a collision because no matching keyword, and this bias comes from 2011, but these raws are from 2017. So we need to separate them by that value, that year value. So we need to tell it the keyword here, and then everything gets separated perfectly. So now there should be total matching everywhere that we need it to be. So let's see, we got the darks, we got the biases, we have all, it's a very complex thing, but it's cool. Flats, lights, and the control panel. So in the control panel, we just want to make sure everything matches so that everything will calibrate properly. And we're going to see lots of information here. See if I can move this over. This is just amazing, though. Look at that. Okay, so let's start with the flats. It's always easiest to start with flats. Well, all I have are master flats, so they don't need to be calibrated in every way. And in both years, I just loaded master flats. So that the work is actually done there. So the only thing we need to worry about here are the matching nature of these kinds of files. So let's see what's going on. And you probably remember what I did in the previous one. What do we have here? This particular data set says it's 600 seconds clear. And this is the old one. This is in 2011, so 600 seconds. Well, in 2011, I have long darks. I have these 1800 second darks. That means that I need to optimize. That's why we're getting this warning here. It says the light frame's exposure differs by the master darks. That is true. But I have master biases. And this is one of these well-behaved cameras. So I can do this cool trick and do that. And in doing so, my status goes to exactly what I want. And now I am matching the correct dark frame. Because see, this one's lit up here, and that applies to this. This is the 2011. That applies here. And I'm optimizing, which means it's going to do the scaling of the thermal frame, the dark current, in order to properly subtract this. So that is just amazing. And of course, you're going to see that I believe that this is true just across the board for me. I just need to optimize everything because at the times that I was taking this data, I was not matching darks. Now this is a more advanced technique because I know what to look for when using optimization. I have an entire section in this definitive guide of WBPP all about optimization and what to look for. It's tricky. A lot of people just use it without really much thought, but it requires a little extra attentiveness when you're using optimization. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this, and I'll come right back once I've done all of them. Okay, so I've done it all. which means that everything is good except for, let's see, what's this one? There are two that need further attention here. For this flat, let's see, 2011. Well, I'm noticing that in 2011, something really bizarre happened. I can see, look at my filter names. They are just absolutely weird. Something must have happened along the way. I know that years ago I was having problems with the filter wheel not operating properly, and I probably tried to do some kind of correction here. Because look, I have clear blue, luminance. No idea. I suspect that these are the 2x2, so this really is blue, green, and red. But this clear right here is not matching anything, because it really needs to match a clear filter. So I need it to match one of the clear filters, if you will, a 1x1 image that is from 2011. Look at this, it says blue STX clear. How bizarre. But I guess that's the one it needs to match. So, because you can see that this is 1x1 and this is 1x1. So I apologize, my filters are all bizarre, but whenever you're in this situation, if it's not matching automatically, you can see what it needs to match. I can just force the match like this. And now again, I fixed it. So I've got the proper matching. And this one, 2017 clear. Let's see, this says March 22nd. So I don't have a March 22nd. I have a March 21st and a March 23rd. So this isn't matching for the reason, not because of the year part, but because of the date part, which is the second keyword. And that, again, it's just amazing you can fix all this stuff. So I can pick either the 21 or the 23rd. I'm going to pick the 23rd, if I can see that. Now, I may not be able to see that, so let's just, because it doesn't show me which one of these is the one. Well, that's the 25th. How about this one? That's the 21st. I don't know if I want. That's the 23rd. Okay. And let me look at the flats. Now I have matching everywhere. So what I want you to ignore the fact that I have these weird filters. This will work out properly if you just have red, green, and blue. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what the heck was going on there. But the main point is that I put things in two separate directories. So I have a directory here that I'm calling NGC3310 for the year 2011, and likewise another one for 2017, 2011 and 2017. And I went one step further, which is in 2017, I had another keyword which broke those up further because I had to match those clear filter data, the luminance, with each of the nights that I happen to have taken it across. That just means I add another keyword. So it has to match first the outermost keyword, and WBPP obviously takes care of this. It has to match both keywords in order for it to work. And so all of that grouping and matching happens properly here. And now I could press the button and get it to go. So we can look as a last little thing here. I'm not going to actually do this right now. I'm not prepared. I'd like to get maybe more data. But we can look at the diagnostics and see what it tells us. I suspect it's going to tell us two things. It's going to tell us, number one, almost everywhere that, that we are optimizing, which means that it's using a dark frame that's of a different exposure time. And that's fine because we're optimizing. And number two, it's going to tell us that some of these file names and or keywords are a little bizarre because they have spaces in them, and the spaces are invalid characters. They, file names in PixInsight, they need to all have underscores or be connected, concatenated together, not with spaces. So I'm probably going to see that as a warning as well. So let's look here in the warnings. We don't have an output directory yet. That's fine. So it says that here, invalid file name characters would be replaced with underscores. You see I've got spaces here, and so when it creates a master file or anything like that, it's going to make, it's going to put underscores in the file names, anything that it needs to make. Otherwise, frames will be calibrated using a master dark with a different exposure time, and that is absolutely correct. It's going to say that a lot because those are all the optimization that I've done. So that's it. Those are the two things it'll complain about. It'll complain about it's not a complaint, it's a warning, about the optimization and about the spaces in the file name that it'll create. It's going to take from something that had spaces and just put underscores. That is an example of how to group things using the folder names. So the takeaway here is name your folders, perhaps by the name of an object, as I did. So I gave this, an object name, and then you could afterwards make here it is. You could make the value that follows that. It could be night 1, night 2, night 3, or whatever it is for different folders. And then within those folders, it doesn't matter the names of the files themselves, because they're going to be associated with this value that's right here. It'll always be associated, and the different folder will have the different value that you've assigned it. And in that way, you can more easily, not having to worry about file naming schemes, you can more easily associate, using this grouping method, files with a particular set of data that you want to operate on. So I would encourage you to study what I did there to set up this example. It's a great example to illustrate the usage of these grouping schemes that you can do in WBPP.